to strive for that, to work for that. And I guess before going, too long and dragging this out, I want to simplify things in our movement. You know what I'm saying? We always say at the edge that we have this divine principle, and the divine principle is what's going to separate us and make us more successful than any other community, any other faith community. But at the same time, if we overcomplicate the divine principle, we lose people too. People can get sleepy or bored or don't understand it, feel that this is too difficult to understand and maintain, and that I just want to live life and be with the person I want to be with, and have free love. But I just want to simplify the divine principle, and in a way that it helped me understand my role in God's eyes, and my life in God's eyes. And that is, when you talk about, chapter 1, the ideal, chapter 2, the fall, and chapter 3 is restoration. There's all these, there's so much theology around it, so many ideals around it, but at the end of the day, it all relates to God's heart, God's love and what God wants for us. It's all about God. The divine principle is all about God. And basically what that is chapter 1 is the story of God's ideal, what God wanted for us. And what He wanted for us is children that He could love, families that He could love, families that can grow and develop, and then He can experience joy from. So joy, is the point of chapter 1, and God's joy and our joy. So the idea was so beautiful, and God had a big plan. And then when the fall came around, it's the story of how God had His dream cut from under Him. It's a story of how what God wanted so much got lost so easily. And then chapter 3, the restoration. The whole rest of the divine principle is about how we get back, and it's a story of God trying to fix everything. It's a story of us trying to come back and return the world to God. And when I think of that, when I think of God as a person, as a being with character, I think about what He hoped for us, what He had lost, and what and how He's so desperately fighting to get the world back together. The weight is so heavy, it just makes me want to be every bit a part of it, and it makes me think that everyone in this community who understands this truth has a responsibility to help God get the world back, get his children back. Yeah. And that's the thing, about our movement. A lot of second gen alienate themselves from our movement and become intimidated by our movement because they feel that they have to, work for the church, or they have to, go do something for the church, or you have to serve the church, do this program, do that program, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, one statistic that I can learn is that maybe only 5% of the second generation really need to be involved in the logistics and the operation of the church in order for it to proceed. But the other 95%, don't have the responsibility. Our only responsibility is to create blessed families. If there's anything that you get from this talk, I don't want to add too much to it, but the key is that our minimum responsibility in this movement is to really create those blessed families. And it's a really fun, thing to strive for. It's a loving thing to strive for. If I had to summarize, the goal of our movement right now, whenever they say witnessing, whenever they say this or that, divine principle, at the end of the day, it really comes down to building central blessed families. Because, if everyone focused on that one thing, and we all created a central blessed family, and everyone was doing the same thing, we'd be the largest church in the world, And, we wouldn't have to worry so hard about, conveying our truth in our church, conveying our, beliefs in our church. If we just demonstrate and show people that we can create these loving, blessed families. And, I guess that's why reconnecting with my Filipino heritage is so important and has so much value to me, because I look at these big families, and I only wonder, what would these families be like? How would their lives be like if they just put God at the center of it? And they understand that their marriages, their blessings, everything that happened was for God. It was about two people in a couple, and a large family with God in the center of all of that. So yeah, that's my dad's side of the family that we visited visited them a couple weeks ago in Seattle. And you know, as you can see, you know, they're it's my family, you know, so everyone's very loving and welcoming, even though I never met them before. But they kind of look up to our family because we had a very strong marriage. You know, even though a lot of people had gone through secular paths, and people were also very surprised that I had met and married my wife within a year because of the matching and the blessing. But at the end of the day, they still loved and still respected that because everything that we did was for a higher purpose. Everything we did was connected to God's heart. You know? So yeah, I didn't prepare much beyond that, and I don't want to overwhelm people with ideas, but I just want to leave the concept that you know, God lives in the family. You know, and when I see all our Filipino families and I see my own family, I'm just so grateful for the life that God gave us, and just the emphasis that if we strive towards being a good spouse and building that family, life will really take you in really awesome directions. You know, you'll be motivated to do well in school. You'll be motivated to do well in whatever you want to do, whether it's art, whether it's sports, whether it's, you know, technology, or, you know, dancing, or whatever it is. You know, as long as you keep God at the center of that, then, you know, good things really come from that. That's about half an hour. I think that's all what I wanted to share to my Philippine family.
Victor, call your wife. Call your wife. We want to see her. Yay! Woo! What's her name?
Victor,
What's her name?
This is Chuan.
My name is Gian Chopis. I'm from Florida, Fort Lauderdale, and I'm 21 years old. And he said my mom is Korean, my dad is Cuban. I have 3 siblings. 2 of them are blessed, and I have a younger sister who's 15. And yeah, I had chickens. I have dogs, a bird, and yeah. And all the rest of the animals that I did have died. So, thank you.
Do you have a song together? Sabihin mo. Yeah, if you have questions.
Okay, Senator, you have some questions?
Okay, so anybody have questions?
He has a question, Ruben, your son.
Oh, your what's your question? Anybody? Okay.
Share a little bit of your blessing for children. A little bit of your blessing because in Korea, and then how you feel about your blessing, and how you felt when you got your wife.
So not to mention just the blessing.
Yeah, it's good to little bit.
A little bit about, yeah, not topics, a little bit about it's a long story, so we'll try to cut it really short. Yeah, we actually gave a testimony right here on Monday for the blessing workshop. So that
Well, I'll just say like real quick before the matching. I just want to emphasize like the importance of like prayer. And if you are anyone who is interested in like getting matched or whatnot, I don't know how old you guys are, but I got matched at 20. So, anyways, yeah, I just want to emphasize how God is always listening to your prayers, and He just wants to be your parent, and He's always looking out for you, even if you don't ever notice. He's always trying to get your attention, and I know before I got matched to him, I was just like praying to God when I feel that I want to be a better person, and always being grateful is very important, humble, and I think God has got me a very great person, But for me, I feel like perfect for me. And yeah, I think if you are always open to God, God will always guide you to the right way, right path. And yeah, He'll never give you less. He'll always give you more than you feel you deserve. So, yeah, thank you.
But I guess a short rundown of our matching blessing. We met in North Carolina last June. There was a second gen gathering. It wasn't really a workshop, but it was a beach retreat basically. So we had a lot of second gen there, and obviously, going into the match, I wasn't interested in getting matched at the time when I went to this retreat. But God knew, God knows when you're ready. So with all my prayer, with all my preparation, support with my parents, I met Juan and we pursued them as a family, and I knew her in-laws very well. So I guess the lesson there is that you got to be in the network. You have to be you have to involve yourself in the church community. You have to get yourself out there. People will notice you, and we're very beautiful people. And if you connect that all to God and you connect that all to heavenly parents, then you create a really bright spirit, really bright, happy atmosphere, and God will bless you. God knows who you. God knows what you deserve, and God knows the right person for you. And I was very happy, very lucky to meet her. And our blessing, we got matched in December, so we didn't talk for too long because our parents were involved in the process. Always communicate with their parents. We're very close to their parents. I'm very close to my parents. And very close to their parents. It's another Kate, and then the blessing. Yeah, it was really great.
Went by so fast.
Went by so quickly, but yeah, we flew over there in March. I highly recommend saving up to fly to Korea. It's an incredible experience. Receive the blessings from your mother. It was all a big blur, but it's really incredible how God works in your marriages. It's really incredible how God knows what's going to make you perfect. You know what I mean? And that means that the person can challenge you, because God's going to challenge you with things that you need to improve. You know what I mean? So I'm very grateful because God gave me so much growth in my spouse and so much happiness. It's a very exciting process, but that's what I would say. Keep God at the center and communicate with your parents a lot. So you're young enough to actually maintain a really good relationship with your parents. A lot of second gen, along the way, get alienated between the first